Right, hello everyone, welcome to Tactica Imperialis and to today's video. Bonus extra stream for you today. We had a stream last night, which you can find on the channel, but in that stream I said I wanted to do another one tonight so as we could finish off the Altar of Khaine hobby conversion project that we've been working on over the past 4 or 5 streams. I now feel at a point where I'm comfortable that we can finish it in one stream, and so we're going to finish it in one stream. And the reason we're starting a little bit early compared to some previous streams where we started at 7 PM UK or 8 PM UK, whatever, we're starting a little earlier because I am not going to end the stream until this project is done. I've got a plan. It's not particularly a productive plan, but it's a plan. And I intend to finish this project tonight. I will not end the stream until I am done, or at the point where I'm going to fall asleep otherwise, which is not what I'm expecting to happen. I expect I'm only going to need about 3 hours or so to finish it off. But that's what the plan is for tonight's stream. To catch people up on where we got to yesterday, we managed to complete the fire effects and the braziers and fire pits for the temple conversion. So we already had the avatar and all the stone and the pillar work done, but we did the flames and we did the holders for those flames, so the torches on the back 4 pillars, as well as the 2 front fire pits. That's what we got done. And the rest of the stream is basically concerned with everything that's left in grey. So on the screen right now you can see there's a ring around the central pool, there's a ring around the outside, there's a couple of comet symbols, and there's some other symbols on there as well, which are a little bit more difficult to see because I painted over them with the greys and purples when I did the initial version of the temple. So I've got to finish all of those, and I also have to finish the outside of the pillars. So on the pillars, I've done all of that. All of this stuff is done. All of this stuff is done. It's merely this front panel on each pillar that I have left to do. I have to do this central sort of Sigmarite lion symbol, and I have to do this trim banner thingy jib around the outside. So I've got to do 8 of those, and I've got to do all of the top detail on the temple itself. The majority of this is going to be done with metallics. It's going to be mostly gold and silver, though I'm tempted to use some different greys on the pillar edges as well. I will tinker with that a little bit, I think. So that's the plan. That is what we are going to be doing tonight. As I say, I have a target in mind to need no more than about 3.5 hours, which should take me to 10 PM. But as I say, I'm not going to finish until we're done. So the stream ends when the model ends and not before. So we've got plenty to do. I hope everyone is doing well on this fine Monday, well, whatever time of day it is for you. It might even be Tuesday in some parts of the world. Hope people are doing well. Hope that things are cracking on and you're enjoying your hobby time. And I hope that you're looking forward to Saturday's preview stream, which they posted the sort of promo article for today. We had that revealed last night, and we had a bit of a chat about it on the previous stream, but I'm more than happy to continue discussing that as part of tonight. So yeah, we've got plenty to do. Hope everyone's doing well. But for now, we need to get started because, well, I could talk all night. Well, I couldn't, but I do want to get going. Yes, get yourselves your particular preference for drinks or snacks because you're going to be here a while. If you want to just listen and watch what I'm doing. You can also join the channel's Discord server if a link is posted in the chat by one of the mods because I've got my hands full. And so you can get involved and join us for the Saturday stream and all the other shenanigans that go on in our Discord server. And we're going to start tonight with these edges for the pillars. So I already have a plan for the central component. So just to hold this up to camera. I already have a plan for the central symbol. I plan those to be gold because I think that will contrast very nicely. Now these outer edge trim thing, I have sort of 2 schools of thought. Either we can have that in silvers and golds, maybe with gold for the four corners and silver for the sort of almost look like ropes, but they're not, sort of the twirl that goes in between them. Or something I've seen done on Ulgu terrain in the past is to use things like the Fang. So I could use the Fang, which is the light grey paint, or rust grey even, because the Fang is actually the base coat that I've used for the temple. I could use rust grey to create a very bright grey for those twirls, and maybe keep the gold for the comet symbols on the edges. I'm open to ideas from chat if people have any particular strong feelings on the matter. So yeah, we've got plenty to talk about. Do you wonder what they could reveal about heresy, since it's mentioned in the article? What I'm hoping they'll reveal for heresy is hopefully one more character series model, maybe Khaine, and I'd like them to drop the release date for Book 9. I think that would be a good idea, is to drop the Book 9 release date and reveal one more model. I think Khaine would be one I'd pick. Right, where's my gold? There's my gold. I may have made a slight miscalculation when I painted this the first time, because there's a lot of like raised details on these lions, and it might have been good to do the deeper parts in with the purple. So I might just have to very neatly add some grey and purple into the depths of this later. Depends on how we go, how it looks. Right, so yeah, that's what we're doing with the central line symbol. They're being painted gold. And I think I'm going to do the same for the four comet squares around the edge. It's mainly the like twirly thing around the outside that I'm interested in for changing things up. Instead of just doing gold or silver, I'm curious to see what chat might have to say about that. Okay, I've just got to be really accurate now, because I'm just going to go around the outside without messing up my three-tone purple stone. So just got to get this bit right and be nice and accurate. It's not perfect. Then again, I did say I was tidying this up later with some of the central bits, so it's okay if I make a slight mess. So one thing with painting metallics, they often end up being great detailing metallics, but they always make a massive mess. So you just sort of end up like, oh, right, I have to go back and fix all that stuff now. Plastic Space Marine bikes. What about plastic Space Marine bikes? Okay, so that's that central symbol done. I'm going to do the 4 squares on the edges now, around the outside. And then I'm going to have to repeat the process 7 more times. This bit is not particularly glamorous. It's mostly just the last bit logistics. Like the fine detailing is sort of it's kind of the best and worst bit, because it's not that fun and you don't see a huge amount of progress, and it can get quite repetitive. But without it, your model looks really unfinished. So just one of those steps you have to do. And since we've been doing this project entirely on stream, I think the only thing I did off stream was a couple of washes that I was worried were going to take ages, and that, well, did take ages. So I've done pretty much all of this project on stream with chat. So even if this bit is slightly dull and repetitive, I feel like it's only fair to chat and everyone who's been helping out with the project that they get to see it through with me. I have been informed that Plastic Space Marine Bikes is now a slight meme within members of the Discord. So that's what that's about. Though what exactly it entails, I think you'd have to find out for yourself, because I'm not going to get into all the details here. Not sure if it's my place. Okay. I don't think I quite realised that I had 32 of these things to do. That's going to slow me down a little bit, but not by much. I mean, we've only been going 15 minutes. I spent about half to 2/3 of that talking, and we've almost done the first panel, so well, not too bad. Okay. Almost there. And there we go. So this is where we are, and what we're going to be doing for the moment. We've got another 7 of these to do. And the question I would like to ask you, chat, if you could give me a hand with a little bit of democracy, because this project has been oh so democratic, is I would like a bit of help with the 4 sort of connecting ropes, lines, pillars, if you like, between the 4 gold squares. So I've got sort of 2 trains of thought on how I'd like to paint them. One would be to paint them, wrong colour, would be to paint them silver. And I've got a very bright silver that I could use to sort of pick out the highlights. Or the other option that I've had in my head is using rust grey, using a very bright grey to pick out those details instead. And I know rust grey goes well with gold because I've been using it on my lumineth, so I know it would work. But I'm open to chat's opinions on the matter. Silver or grey, what are people thinking in chat in terms of how we finish off these pillar edges? So that's 1 done, pillar number 2. And we repeat the process over again. Yeah, it is a repeat. I was just looking at this line design. I was like, is it exactly the same? Yes, it is. Can't get these old pots to stay open. Silver, Ironbreaker with Runefang Steel, and also you're going to go brighter Stormhost or even Grey Knight Steel. Well, I have Leadbelcher, I have a very rubbish Ironbreaker that I don't think actually works anymore, and I have got a Stormhost Silver that I've been using on my Lumineth. So I was probably going to go Leadbelcher, Nuln Oil, Stormhost if I went down the silver route. It's probably what I was going to do. Yeah, it's not been too bad today. Today's sort of been a mixed day for the weather, but last week was very hot and not particularly pleasant either, depending on your classification of what you class as pleasant weather. But it was pretty nice that last night when we did our previous stream. I admit I haven't done much painting in the previous 7 days. All the painting I've done on stream, aside from all the washing of the blooming runes, which took me about an evening. I think actually no, it was 2 sittings took me to finish them. Took ages, but I'm glad I got them done. Stormhost, Null Oil. That might be a bit bright. I don't know how bright Stormhost as a base coat would be, because I've used Stormhost very sparingly as highlights on my Lumineth. That might work. I'm just worried how bright it's going to be. But then I suppose it would be like the shining light of Hish in the metals. So yeah, maybe that would work. I mean, I'm going to have to go back and tidy up anyway. So... close to 100 Fahrenheit, blimey. Admittedly, I don't know the Celsius Fahrenheit conversion chart top of my head. I know it's F is something point something C plus 23.8, I think. I forget the exact conversion between Celsius and Fahrenheit. Yeah, I can imagine that sort of weather was not particularly painting conducive or anything conducive. Okay, second line is done. Just going to do the outer squares now. And as I said, I'm going to have to go back and tidy all this stuff up later. Redo the grey and purple just in some of the interior areas. Because as I say, if you're not absolutely 100% accurate, which I rarely am, metallic paints are messy and awkward and slow to use. Okay, 2 down. Okay. Last one for the second pillar. Okay. And that is the second one. Cold South American winter. Yep, that actually, yeah, it would be. It's winter in the southern hemisphere, that's very true. Cold and humid. I've never seen cold and humid as a combination because humid generally lends itself to heat, but fair enough. So that's the second pillar. That one's done now. Well, the gold is. The only suggestion I've had really from chat is silver to do these sort of edges. So probably going to end up going with silver for those. So I'm not going to ask for spoilers, I'm just sort of curious if anyone in chat has. But has anyone picked up the Dawn of Fire novel yet? Avenging Sun. I've actually ordered one at my local store, which is going to come midweek toward the weekend. So I'm trying to read through the Last Chances novel at the moment to get ready, just to get that out of my to-do list before I get my hands on Avenging Sun. I was wondering if anyone's picked it up yet. I'm not going to ask for spoilers or anything, but if people have picked it up, I'd be curious to see what people think. Okay, we're starting to get a bit of a motor on now. Got the muscle memory in. Just making sure I use enough gold to get a good coverage now. I'll take your word on how bad cold humidity is. I'll take your word, because we just have cold. Most of the time in Britain, we just have cold. I say that, we've had one of the hottest fortnight or so's on record, but it's... third line is done. Just doing the edges panels now. I saw the semi-artisan bidding of the book. It takes ages for one to pass customs and the price don't. Oh right, yeah. I can imagine naturally shipping to certain areas is rather expensive. I didn't consider that, but yeah, if that's in reference to Dawn of Fire. Yeah, I was just curious to see if people had really had a chance to get into it yet, because obviously with it being the first book of a new heresy-esque series, obviously people are going to look at it very, very carefully and very, very critically to determine whether it deserves that moniker. So I just wondered if people had picked it up. Or if you're just going to wait for Rem and I to review it on the podcast, that seems about as reasonable. Oh, I've not done this very neatly at all. There's going to be a chunk of tidying up, but that's what we do. Just the joys of not being very accurate with painting. End up having to do things again sometimes. I didn't do as much promo for this stream. Like I didn't put it out on Twitter or Facebook or anything like that. So there may be slightly less people here than there has been in other streams, which is fair enough. And it's a Monday as well, not a Sunday. So weekday streams generally, there'll be people actually who haven't got the time. The Americans, I bet there's a chunk of the Americans still at work, and thus not so able to make it. Okay, 3 done. Okay, so I've done 2 in 20 minutes. Each of them's taking me about 10 minutes. Seriously, does that mean I'm going to spend the next... It's going to be 8 o'clock before I do these. What? Okay, I need to speed up. Second choice, when you and Ram like one good book or butcher a bad one. Yeah, well, mostly when it comes to butchering books, it's down to Rem. Like, Rem reads far more than I do, especially when I'm working. I've had time to read a few things over the last few weeks, but a lot of the literature I end up reading has been Sigmar literature, like Gloom Spite, Soul Wars, and now the Lady Olinda novel, which is what I did get to talk about the Lady Olinda novel on the podcast, so I got to talk about that for a bit. But I have finally snuck some 40k literature back into my rotation. I'm reading, as I said earlier, Armageddon Saint, the most recent of the 13th Penal Legion, Colonel Shaper's Last Chances novel. So that's what I'm currently reading, which is proving to be quite entertaining so far, as you might expect. What next AOS faction POV book would you like to see next? Well, we know we're getting a Lumineth book. That's coming out soon. That was announced around the time of Lumineth's release, actually. But that's going to be up for pre-order soon. So I know we're getting one for Lumineth. I think there's a Sons of Behemat audio drama that's on the way as well, which covers them off. After that, well, obviously you've got all the death, like the vampire factions have had a look, a lot of undead, and Nighthaunt have, to an extent. We've had the cities of Sigmar come up a lot, mainly as sort of protagonist there to get killed by whichever antagonist faction is the book's actually about. Um, so, in terms of what I think we'll see, I don't know. What I'd like to see, obviously, is a Daughters of Khaine novel. I think that would be really interesting. Um, but I have my biases. And I think something around like the Iron Jaws could be interesting as well. It's sort of a bit more of a greenskin type book. But then, who would people read it? Is the question you have to ask in those scenarios. So would people read it? Okay. Come on. Hmm? I hadn't thought of that. If AOS gets a video game, well, we have one. Well, technically we do and we don't. Underworlds is getting a video game, so Shadespire and that lot is. I think it's set around the Night Vault. As for what I'd like to see in an AOS video game, oh, that's tricky. I think like something RPG-ish definitely suits sort of Sigmar more than say a combat game or a pure action game like say Vermintide was. I think an RPG-ish game suits it because you've got such diverse races and classes and all of that sort of thing. Granted, that then means rendering a 3D probably world of a mortal realm or a free city and the surrounding mortal realm, which will kill you. So it would end up being a bit more like playing a Fallout game than playing Skyrim, because it would be pockets of civilization and utter death everywhere else. Scroll down. Oh, that comes out well. Okay, yeah. I think I'm going to go with the suggestion of someone from chat earlier suggested about going Stormhost Null Oil, Stormhost Silver for the trim on these pillars. So, and they've just shown me a mock-up in the Discord server, so I'm going to go with that. Because I think that does look pretty good and will contrast nicely with the dark purple and the shiny gold. I don't know if Warhammer's apocalyptic in tone. I think that's pushing it. But certainly the world outside the cities is not very hospitable, I think is how I would put it. It's certainly not like Skyrim, where you've got towns and you've got dangerous areas, but I think the Mortal Realms are just more dangerous than like a Skyrim Elder Scrolls type world, and more akin to a Fallout world, especially after the Noctis. No, do you say Turn is the wrong universe? The Arcanum Optima and the unleashing of the endless spells and just wild magic that can run amok across the Realm's Edge and almost be like a dynamic, almost like Fallout 76's dynamic weather system. You have roaming endless spells that, unless you have a super powerful wizard, there's nothing you can do about them. And even trying to do something about them is probably bad for your health. Okay. How do these take me 10 minutes? That's weird. This should not take 10 minutes just to do one of these pillars. It's weird. I'm not even like finishing them. I'm just base coating them. Blimey, that was a loud bird. Sorry, you probably didn't hear that. It's just my microphone is actually pretty sensitive, so it sometimes picks up things from outside, and I can actually hear a very loud bird. Well, it sounded like a seagull, but I'm nowhere near the coast. It was weird. Okay, pillar the fourth, done. We're halfway there. At last. Shh. If you're dumb enough to go around the countryside of the Realm of Shadow, some wild spell will end up biting off some of your soul. Yeah, that's an understatement. So GW wrote a battle report when they did their Realm of Shadow articles for White Dwarf. And in that battle report, the denizens of the Realm of Shadow, if you were stood on a terrain feature, then on a 1, one of your models would be just stolen away by the shadows. So, yeah, the realms are inhospitable, to put it mildly. It can be easy to forget that because you only see, like, battles and cities. You forget just what, like, everyday life in the realms would be like, and it ain't pretty. It's not the realm of beasts where everything you eat is fantasy. Everything wants to eat you. It's fantasy Australia on steroids. Yeah, the realm of beasts is not particularly a nice. None of the realms are like even the realm of light, a supposed like safe haven of enlightenment and knowledge. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard stories of people who reach too far in their claims for enlightenment and being lost in your own thirst for knowledge and things like that. And also, since Slanesh got their claws into the realm of light during the Age of Chaos, a lot of the areas have just been blasted to ruin. So even somewhere like the realm of light, the realm of life, well, it's the realm of life. Sure, it can be great for healing, but that doesn't mean that all the plants don't want to eat you, because they want to live too. In the mortal realms, you have 100 problems and all of them want to kill you. That's almost entirely true. Whatever the realm, more than likely the raw magic. That's why the cities are all in the realm's center. So because the wild raw magic is usually found at the realm's edge. So the cities set them, and civilization and most people set themselves up in the realm's center where the magic is more stable and sort of forms the land rather than running rampant like it does towards the realm's edge. With the exception of one realm. In which realm, random trivia question for you, because I do like my trivia questions. In what realm is what I've just said not true? In which mortal realm is the magical sort of center and power not at the realm's edge? Hey, did it in 5 minutes that time. I'm getting faster. Yeah, it was the realm of death, Shyish. It was like all the other realms for a long time. Then Nagash got a plan. And had his undead legions carry the grave sand, which is the realm stone of Shyish, back to the center to create the Shyish Nadir and invert the magic to flow into Nagashizar, the Black Pyramid and the like, in order to try and, kill everything in the Necroquake. But it went slightly wrong because of some Skaven. Skaven ruined all of Nagash's plans. Also the compass thing, forgot their names. The ordinations used to have reverse polarity. Like our poles, I think, have had reverse polarity. Like Earth's natural poles, Earth's magnetic poles have reversed at one point. I'm not sure in the Warhammer context what you're referring to, because I don't know if that's ever happened for, like, Ulgu and Hitch. I can't say that that's ever happened, to my knowledge. Oh, yes, you're right. That was it. Yeah, all the like magical compasses that people use sort of to point themselves towards the realm center or the realm's edge or whatever. They're, yeah, like magically attuned compasses. Yeah, the ordinators use. You're right. Sorry, I got myself confused there. They would have flipped polarity because of the magical inversion of the nadir. I hadn't thought of that. Yes, thank you for reminding me. I believe it's twice that the Skaven have ruined Nagash's plans. I don't want to put an exact number on it because my fantasy lore is a bit rusty, but I believe it's twice. Yes. Actually, since I was talking about gravesand and realmstone, trivia question. Most commonly used by the Lumineth realm lords, what is the name of the realmstone of Hysh, the realm of light? Nagash is like, I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling rats. It was the second time, was it? Ah, excellent. I thought it was. I think they stopped one of his resurrections back in Kemri, and then obviously this one in Shyish. So I thought. No, the gravesand was the stone of Shyish. Someone did get it. It's the ether quartz. Is the stone of Hysh. I can't actually remember all of them off the top of my head. To be honest, I don't remember most of them. I think Celestite might be the one for Azir. Obviously, gravesand for Shyish. can't actually remember what they call the life stone. It's in my sorcery, but I just can't remember the top of my head. Okay, 7 minutes for that one. Number 6. We're getting there. What is my next army going to be? I don't know. Currently, once this project is done, I'm going to pivot back to my Lumineth Realm Lords as my ongoing project. And that will probably be my project for this year whenever I get time to hobby. If I can get my words out. So I'm not planning to start a new army this year because I've got the Lumineth project on the go. But if they say announce Malerian's Elves or the Tyrionic Hemisphere of Hysh, then I will definitely pick up the book and collect the army. I just might not do it right away. It might be like I did with the Ideneth Deepkin, where I bought their book right away and then didn't actually work on any Deepkin for several months, maybe even over a year, until I got a chance to just get there, start collecting for a tournament at my old GW as part of an Elfin adventure. So to be honest, I don't know, but even if it will probably be Malerians or Tyrion's Elves, but not right away because I want to finish the Lumineth or get the Lumineth to say 1500 points first. And at the minute, since I've only obviously got their starter box, since that's all that there is, I've only got about 500 points. What are you expecting Saturday's reveals to be? I don't really know. They've promised content for 6 different systems, so Necromunda, Heresy, 40k AOS, Warcry, and something else. So Warcry I expect to be a new warband, though I couldn't tell you what it'll be. Heresy I think will be a character series model and the release date of Book 9. I'm hoping for the release date of Book 9. Necromunda, I think, will be the House of Artifice, so the Van Saar book. Or is it the Cawdor book next? I can't remember. But the sort of the details of the next book now that the Escher book is on its way out. AOS, I think, will be sort of the full... If there's any more Sons of Behemat to reveal, which there isn't, unless they're going to redesign the classic Gargant, which they might. But unless they redesign the classic Gargant, there's no actual new unit for the Behemat, aside from the Mega Gargant we've already seen. So they haven't got much left to reveal on that front. So unless they're dropping a new army, which I don't think they are, I'm not sure what they're going to do. Though I'd love, obviously, to see like Malerian's Elves or something. Or is it Orlok next? Right, sorry. I can never remember who's who in what the running order is for Necromunda. So what, a Malerian miniature, something more, or something. Yeah, I love a Malerian miniature because we know what he looks like since he's fused with his dragon. We've seen a little bit of artwork of him and he looks amazing. I'd love to see that put into miniature. But we haven't seen what Tyrion looks like. So I'd love to see Tyrion put into miniature. But I think doing Tyrion so soon after Teclis would be a mistake. So doing some more evil elves would be probably the decision I would make, if they're going to do that at all. And with the talking about shadows in the preview title, I can't help but think we're going to see some shadow demons. Well, I'd love to see shadow demons, but I don't know if we will. As for 40k, I'm not sure what they're going to do, since they've shown off all these like mini model previews. They could take it in any direction, but have we seen all of the Space Marine units yet and Necron units yet? I don't know. It's really hard to tell if we've seen them all yet, but I think we have. So what are they going to show us for 40k? It's hard to say because they've already shown us the Space Marines and Necrons now. I mean, there might be more for them. I'm not ruling out the possibility of there being more for them, but from all the leaked photos we got way back, I think we've now seen everything from those images. On next break, check the Discord. Okay, when I finish this pillar, I will check the Discord. I don't know, just Ben's telling me to do things, so I'm going to trust him. Yeah, he was doing that last night, so fair enough. Right. Minus CBA. Right. Where there is light, there must be darkness. Where there is a door, there must be the dusk. Yeah. Very philosophical. When I get the chance, I might get Lumineth. Yeah, I mean, the Lumineth range is really cool for the most part. I've softened on Teclis. He's still not my favourite miniature, and he's definitely the worst of the gods that we've had. In terms of miniature, he's definitely the worst of the gods. But the Lumineth range is nice. I think the Alarith actually work. And I've come around to the archers as well, because I wasn't sure about the archers at first. So I do like the Lumineth range, and they fight very differently, and I talked about that in my Battle Tome review, with the fact that I think they're going to be a bit more of a different style of army, which probably won't work in competitive Sigmar, but that will be very interesting to play. So, yeah, just I hope you like painting white and being finicky, because, God, they're finicky. So there's a reason why I don't paint my Lumineth on stream. Part of the reason why I'm doing this project instead of Lumineth. I cannot paint Lumineth and talk. I genuinely have to go full focus mode when I paint my Lumineth because of how accurate I have to be with them. So that's why I don't do my Lumineth on stream. That may change, but it's certainly up to now why I've not done much Lumineth on stream, because I cannot talk. I have to focus. Reminds me of Illidan's Storm Rage. Okay. The half-elf demon. I'm assuming that's Illidan's Storm Rage. See, I know things. I believe that's who that is. Yeah, I kind of see what you mean. Just, I'm envisioning sort of some of the Hearthstone art I've seen of Illidan against the artwork of Malerium. We saw that picture. Yeah, I kind of see where you're going with that. I don't know quite how close it is, but actually it's an elf fused with a dragon and with shadow powers, so probably a lot closer than even I'm thinking. Right, just got to do these 4 edge squares and then we are done with the gold, and it will only have taken me a shade over an hour. Oh boy. The Lumineth are a pain to paint. They are very detailed. They are. I won't lie to you about that. They are a pain to paint. They look great if you can pull them off, but they are not something I would recommend as a first army to like learn the craft of painting. I wouldn't start with them because they are very, very finicky. But that's been true, I think, of Elves and Eldar for a long time, is that they're slightly awkward to paint and very awkward to play, but when they work, they either look great or play great. That sort of generally is how these things go. Kind of regret buying Night Haunt a few weeks before Lumineth was revealed. After that, kind of wanted to buy them, but would like to play with the Night Haunts first. Yeah, I get that. Like, that was one of the useful things about me being in France when the Idoneth and Daughters were revealed, because I wasn't going to buy them while I was in France because I've never got them home. Half my Stormcast broke on the way home when I posted them home. Half my Stormcast broke. So my Daughters would have just been annihilated. So it made me hold off buying them, and thus when the Idoneth came out as well, I could actually take some time and weigh up which army I wanted to do next. So I do understand that sort of regret, but you can't know these things in advance. Even in the lockdown era, you could only plan so far ahead. And now that we're back to full Steam releases, sometimes that just happens. It's annoying, but it does just happen that you can't roadmap everything. Okay, so that is the 8th bit of gold. I'm going to have to go and tidy them up later, like tidy up the purple stone, but I'm only going to do that once I've done the silver. So as it happens, it's not so bad. We're making good progress. Oh, that looks well. That does look well. I wouldn't say it's irony that the older models, but they're more precise. They're finer detail, and they're not so they're thinner weapons, thinner builds. Yeah, of course they're more fragile. I'm not saying it's ideal, and I'm not saying that you might not find that funny, but I don't particularly see it as being ironic. It's just a fact of things. Right, we've been on the edge just over an hour. We've made some good progress, though granted, I get the feeling this is going to be a long stream if I'm going to get all the extra details on this temple done, given that I haven't even finished the pillars yet. But we're getting there. Right, on we go. So for this stage, what we have to do is the sort of trim between these gold squares, which you can see here, 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 and here. So we're going to paint those with Stormhost Silver, which is a very bright paint, but luckily as a layer paint, I've already got some paint over top, so it should be fine. And then we're going to wash that down with some non-oil later. And maybe do a light dry brush to finish it off if we need it. But I don't know if I will, because that will probably be the brightest point on the miniature in some ways. So washing it down is probably the right thing to do. And my God, half the bloody paint has got stuck in the lid. Actually, look at that. Look how much paint has got stuck in the lid. It's ridiculous. That'll clear most of you back down into the main pot. Where in France for a vacation? I can't really comment, really. I lived in France for a year, but I didn't really get a chance to travel because I was doing all my uni work. So I was in Grenoble, near the Alps, and it was a really lovely place. So I can recommend Grenoble, but I don't know what like the ski resorts are like, and if you're wanting to go out every night to different restaurants and things like that, I don't know if it's the most tourist-friendly town, just in terms of the amount of English that's spoken or whatever. Now that wasn't a problem for me because I was at the time mostly bilingual and was fine. But so that's sort of the silver. That's what that looks like. It was fine for me, but I didn't go for a holiday. I went there to study. I actually was doing my filing today. I was filing away all of my old uni documentation and stuff. And I stumbled across the letter that I wrote to the university in Grenoble after I left. Well, as I was leaving, I sort of wanted to leave like a feedback letter for them. I never sent it in the end because I think it would have just been a bit in bad taste because I had opinions. I had opinions about some of the lectures that I'd had and some of the ways that things had gone that year. So I just sort of condensed it into a mostly formal letter. But I actually dug it up and had a read of it. And I can actually very fondly, well, clearly, maybe not fondly, but clearly remember how I was feeling when I wrote that letter. And I did show it to my university in England because I wanted them to have it as sort of a better informational system to the next wave of kids that were going to go out as Erasmus. I wanted them to be better informed about what they were getting in for if they chose to go. So yeah, it was quite fun to reread that letter. Just like, yeah, I remember that. I remember that. I remember that. Oh God, yeah, that. It was interesting. And now I could hear a small child. The joys of being on the first floor and not the ninth. You can hear almost everything. Ba-da-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-doo-doo. Okay, so that's the first of the pillars, so you can just sort of see what we're going for. So it's a really bright silver in between the bits of gold, and that's going to be washed down with Nuln Oil. So that's where we're going. I'm going to do that 7 more times. Yay! Like I say, I've never done it, well, I've not said it before, but I've never done a terrain project before, so this sort of thing is kind of all been new to me, trying to paint like big areas again, because like, the last time I painted something with big flat areas was, oh god, I don't even remember, like my Tau tanks, I guess, or maybe like the Tau fortifications, but they were relatively small compared to this. So it's just been a bit of a learning curve and trying to relearn how to do large flat areas. Like the last models with this much surface area that I had to paint was probably my Stomper. That was, the last time I repainted that was like 2014, 2015. So it's been a long time since, actually, no god, more like 2012, more than I think about it. Probably more like 2012 when I repainted my Stomper last. So, to be honest, I should probably strip it if I want to paint it again. Because it's already had 2 or 3 repaints. Well, I think 2 or 3 different attempts, maybe 2 repaints. Well, definitely a first time for everything, and I've really enjoyed this project. I've loved doing it, and I would absolutely do it again. Maybe not this exact model again, but I would do this sort of thing again, like a terrain project, because I want to create like gaming terrain areas when I go to school. So I can create a Warhammer club at school, and the kids can play on an actual battlefield with actual terrain that's mine, and that they don't have to buy it, or we don't have to use like shoe boxes. So that's sort of part of why I'm doing this. Like, I'm doing this anyway because my daughter's army loves this sort of thing, and I've actually really enjoyed doing it, and it's been nice to try something new out. But it also benefits my students potentially, so it's wins all round. I'm not doing it to try and get the kids in. Oh, yes, I am trying to do it to get the kids into the hobby, but I've not got like some ulterior motive about it. It's purely because I know what this hobby can do for a young person, because I've been there. Like when I was 11, 12, and I joined secondary school, I had a very small group of friends who I'd come up with, and that was it really. And a lot of the friends I went on to make, in fact, all the people from school I'm still in contact with, bar maybe 1 or 2, I know because I played Warhammer with them. And I know like the social aspect of, oh, I've got Warhammer Club every week, really helped me. It gave me something to focus on. It that wasn't schoolwork, which was great. Gave me a social outlet because I wasn't in doing sports at the time. I had the music that I was doing, but that was a fixed group of people, and it kept changing things. I don't know. It really, I can really see the benefits, and the only downsides of the hobby, really, in that sense, is just the cost to entry. It's such an expensive hobby to get into and play. particularly if you want to build armies, because you never really finish a project. And I want to try and give the kids at my school as much of an opportunity to experience this hobby, because I know what good it can do. I'm not going to say it like, oh, it shaped who I am and defined my ability to stay out of trouble and all that. I'm not getting into that, because that's not true. But I imagine that it could, if you're putting your creative talents into something like Warhammer, then it can really be an outlet for you, and it might even be a lifeline. I don't know. Maybe they do. They bring people together. They bring communities together. Groups of people who really have no reason to interact can end up becoming very firm and fast friends through nothing but games. And especially with the social aspects of Warhammer versus video gaming, I can imagine that for a lot of parents, it's actually a lot more reasonable to want to do tabletop gaming than it is video gaming, because A, the material is probably less violent because it's plastic miniatures and dice, and B, it's a forced, you having to have conversations. Never mind the actual skills you pick up from doing Warhammer. So things like art, science, mathematics, hell, hints of engineering, and reading, writing. There are so many core and extensive skills that go into doing this hobby if you want to. It's a fantastic hobby. It really is, and I want to share that with as many people as I can. That's part of why I do this channel. Is partly because I love doing it, and when it gets to my birthday in September, I will have officially been in this hobby for half my life. That's the point we're at. I just know the value of it, and if I can make it easier for the kids to access the hobby because of its very high price point, then I'll do that. Yes, I'm aware of that meme. I wasn't going to make that particular reference because it doesn't apply to me, but yeah. Oh yeah, I'm not saying it's a perfect hobby. Like, yeah, if you are very perfectionist about your painting or you're nervous about showing off your work, then yeah, that can be quite scary. Absolutely, but you're not under any obligation to paint. You could just do what some of my friends did and not paint more than one model in 8 years. Doesn't mean they can't be part of the group. Doesn't mean they can't enjoy the hobby. Even if they can't afford the paint, or or they're unwilling to paint, or they don't want to do it on their own. I'm not saying it's perfect, but the skills it can develop are things I would love to teach. Sad to say there's no Warhammer Club at the schools I went to. Yeah, I admit, obviously not every school runs them, and actually none of the schools I've been to during my PGCE training, there were no Warhammer clubs there. We had to start one ourselves when I was 12. We started our own Warhammer club as a group of kids, and we got the head librarian to lend us the library and supervise us. So we started it off our own backs. But if you have a member of staff who is interested and can be accountable, then absolutely go for it because of just the benefits it provides. And GW knows that. GW has their schools program specifically because of this, where they give you free models and booklets and things like that to help get the kids into Warhammer. Yes, I know that could be because they want their money, and it will get more money out of the kids if they buy, say, a box of stuff each going forward. Absolutely, not arguing with that point. But GW knows the value of bringing new blood into the hobby, and I'm sure many of them got into the hobby as kids, just like I did. So, yeah, I don't know. I was a bit sappy for a random Monday in August, but you know, that's how I feel about it. And as I say, it'll be half my life that I'll be in this hobby when it gets to September. Half my damn life. Wouldn't change it. Wouldn't change it at all. Okay, we're halfway through the silver. Nearly there now. This stuff's a lot faster than the gold because it's just painting four ridged areas semi-accurately. Well, not semi-accurately, properly accurately, but it's much faster than the gold, so we're making some pretty solid progress. Yeah, like whatever you think of where the hobby's going or what it's doing. Personally, I think it's going in a fantastic direction. But whatever you think of that, I think we should all agree that the practice of gatekeeping is just going to hurt us long run. Like some people say, oh, if you don't gatekeep, then everyone gets in, and then the hobby's going to just be corrupted and dies. It's like, but if you gatekeep excessively, which is what some people seem to want to do, then we don't get new blood. And that's kind of what happened to fantasy. I'm not saying fantasy died because of gatekeeping, but it died partly because it was getting no new blood. The old blood had their armies, and they were set on them. They got the odd new model, they just got the new books when they needed them, but they didn't need to buy any more stuff. So the only way that there was going to be model sales for fantasy was new blood, and they couldn't get it in. Whether that was gatekeeping, difficulty, price point, that's up to you to decide. I personally mostly put it down to complexity and price point. But fantasy died because it couldn't get new blood, and the old guard weren't buying because they didn't need to. So you need to get new blood into the hobby, and the more doors we can break down to let people into the hobby, the better. It shouldn't be, oh, this is a game for the rich kids who've got the rich parents who can afford to spend all this money on models. This is a hobby that should be, as GW says, for everyone, if we can make it that way. That should be a hobby that is as accessible as possible, financially and in terms of its community. And so any measure we can make to help that, I personally think is for the better. I know not everyone's going to agree with me on everything I just said, but that's what I believe, and so I'll stand by that decision. Okay, I need to get that in a minute. Use the altar of Khaine as a blunt force weapon. I'm not sure that we'll get to that stage, but that's why as a member of staff I'm there. If I'm a member of staff, I can officiate, I can referee, and then if the kids want to get angry about the bad dice rolls, well, you remind them that that's just odds, it's just luck to an extent. And if I've got control of the models, they won't want to break my models, because they're not the school's models, they're mine. And it would be on, and I think if I can strike the right rapport with them, they won't want to break my stuff, even if they are annoyed. Like, I've been fuming after some games. I've been absolutely fuming. But I've never been tempted to throw a model halfway across a room or use it to smash people over the head. Never. Maybe that's an English thing. I very much doubt it's an English thing. I think it's just a general thing. But I've never seen or heard of that particularly. Though I won't rule it out. But that's why, as a member of staff, we're accountable and we're there to supervise and prevent those things from happening. So I take your point, but that's why I'm there, is to stop people getting hurt. Well, people getting hurt. Their models getting hurt, that's another matter, because they should be dying in droves for whatever thing they believe in. Yes, welcome to Warhammer. Actually, that's probably a funny stat. There will be Guard players out there. There will be players of Astra Militarum / Imperial Guard, whatever you want to call them, whose models have seen more hours on a tabletop than the average Imperial Guardsman sees on a battlefield. Think of that for a second. And just think about how enduring having access to this hobby can be. There are hobbyists whose Guard models have seen more hours of action on the tabletop and been alive for more hours on the tabletop than the average Imperial Guardsman lasts in combat, in a war zone. Think on that. Metal Dreadnoughts. Oh god, I never had a Metal Dreadnought. I never want to have a Metal Dreadnought. I have a feeling it would absolutely destroy me. But they are definitely would be used as lethal weapons. In the wrong hands, a Metal Dreadnought could be very, very dangerous. I won't disagree with that. Maybe it isn't very hard to do, but, well, you work it out, and if you believe the book, the novel that sort of addressed it, it was 15 hours, wasn't it? The book was 15 hours. So if your Guard army has seen more than 15 hours on a tabletop, or one of your Guardsman models has been on the board alive for 15 hours combined, which is probably, if you take it in sort of 2,000 point games, that's probably about, in terms of survival rate of Guardsmen, in terms of a normal game of 40k, you're maybe looking at 20 matches. Actually, it depends on who gets first turn, I guess. But yeah, even just 20 matches, you could probably do it. It would need to be more matches at smaller game sizes. But yeah, fair point, fair point, fair point. Okay. Fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. Okay, last bit on the silver. Last bit of paint on the brush. Okay, so that is the pillars silver done. So this is what they look like now. We've got the gold on there, we've got the silver on there. So we're just going to do a couple of washes on all of them. So we've got Norn Oil for the silver and Caribou Crimson for the gold, because that's how I wash all my gold. And then I just need to tidy up the purpley grey areas. So I've got to put a bit of the Fang and Druchii Violet in, just to tidy all that up. Unfortunately, because I cannot be 100% accurate. What time are we? 8 o'clock. Okay, so we're going for about an hour and a half. I think my plan of 3 hours and change is not going to hold up. My 3 hours and change plan is rapidly heading toward the bin. It might be 3 hours just to finish all these pillars off. But we're getting there. Slowly. We're getting there. We're getting there, chat. Don't worry. And as I said, I will not end the stream until the hobby project is done. Don't care if that ends up being midnight. It better not be. It won't. Don't worry. But no matter how late we go, I will get this finished tonight. So probably have a bit of a rotating crowd. So we've had a few people in the first hour or so. People might just come in and leave as they see fit. So, right. Caribou Crimson. Where are you? There. What have I got? About half a pot? Yeah, about half a pot. A magic tournament where the organisers put security in. Ouch. Yeah, a rowdy crowd is a rowdy crowd is a rowdy crowd. Though maybe that is just a thing where you are, rather than I don't want to make it sound particularly like I'm ragging on a group of people here. But if that's what your area is like, then that's what your area is like, I guess. Stay open pot. That will make life much easier if you just stay open. This should be pretty quick at least, because it's just a few quick washes. It'll mostly be the tidy up that takes all the time. As mentioned in chat, if you are new here and you would like to join the channel's Discord server, you are more than welcome. I did have a look, Ben, yes. I did have a look. I was very impressed with that little bit of Sylvaneth that you've done. So Ben, one of our main mods, is working on the Sylvaneth army. Gone for sort of a red flesh look on their revenants, and it's pretty impressive. Very much liked it. So we've got a painting in like showcase channel in the Discord if you would like to join and have a look or show off some of your own handiwork if that's your inclination. Do that, and I'll also be posting in there the final pictures for the altar, because most likely I won't be able to get a good picture before the stream ends, because I'm going to have to wait for everything to dry and then get the right camera angle and lighting and all that. So I'll do it after the stream and then share I might do a community post where I sort of show off the thing, and maybe I'll do a not a Twitter poll, a community poll where people can vote on what project they'd like us to have a go at on stream next, and then I can make arrangements to get more terrain or certain models, because I'd like to do, for example, the Blade Coven. So I've ordered Morgwaith's Blade Coven, the Daughters of Khaine Underworld's Warband, and they are coming on Saturday, so I'm picking them up from our local on Saturday. I'm looking forward to that, and they're going to be part of this conversion as well, like temporarily, sort of as when it's in diorama mode, they're going to play the role of the High Priestess and her acolytes on the terrain piece. So I probably will do those on the streams next week. Will be Morgwaith's Blade Coven. But I make no promises at this juncture. I've also got my Cauldron of Blood, Blood Rack Shrine, because I've sacrificed the avatar to this project, so I can't make another Cauldron of Blood. I've got a Blood Rack Shrine I can be doing. I've got a Hag and Slaughter Queens I want to convert. And I've also got, the Melisai that come in and start collecting Daughters of Khaine as well. So I'm going to make some Blood Sisters out of those. I might even be able to borrow a Lumineth Pike. I don't think I will, but if I could borrow a Lumineth Pike instead of all of them being the classic spears, that could be fun. Forge World Order should be on its way. 2 squads of Thalaxi or Thalaxes. Okay, that's a chunky order. Granted, I'm not really a Forge World expert, so I'd need the Forge World expert in my ear to really explain whether that's good or what that really means, because I suck at Forge World. Thalax. I can't remember what the Thalax are now. A Tau diorama? I don't know what I'd make it though, because it would have to be purely Firecast and Ethereals, and I don't do Ethereals because I play Enclaves. So it would have to be all Firecast, and I can't think of anything that I'd really do for it, because I'd love to have like a diorama of my character working on their battlesuit. That would be awesome, but there's no Earthcast miniatures. I'd have to buy like a a third-party miniature for an Earthcast, unless they do sell like Earthcast engineers. So I know they sell Aircast pilots, or they used to, but I don't think they sell Earthcast. So that would be something I could do. It's like an engineer working on a battle suit, kind of like the artwork up in that corner, but more complete. I don't know, that could work. But I'm more leaning toward things like terrain and big models rather than dioramas. The fact that this could be made dioramic was a bonus rather than the actual objective. The objective was the terrain conversion, and the fact that I could make a diorama out of it was a bonus. Right, I don't get that joke. The Lumineth Pikes are mental. They're stupid long. They are stupid long. And transporting my Lumineth around is going to be a bit of cauchemar, a bit of a nightmare. But, you know, you know that when you take the job. And having actual phalanx pikemen, being able to make actual elven hoplites, like, fine, I'll trade that for having hoplites. Granted, they gave us archers instead of peltas, but, you know, I'll take the hoplites. Okay, so I've just washed the gold with Caribou Crimson. So that's that stage done. And now I need my non-oil to wash down the silver. And there's my non-oil. Brilliant. Whew, right, on we go. Oh, certainly the Lumineth pikes have been a pain, like getting them to line up right, and then keeping the models in a shining company is going to be interesting when I actually play with them. But they have been fun to paint. The pikes haven't been too bad of a challenge as far as the painting goes. The challenge has been the robes, to be honest, because you've got to get them so bleeding precise. Okay, so that's sort of where the silver is once it's been washed down. For comparison, there's one that hasn't been washed, side by side, so washed, unwashed. So that's sort of the difference between the two. I'm being quite liberal with the Norn oil just to get the Stormhost silver down because it's exceptionally bright, just naturally bright. I'm washing it quite heavily. To get the tone down to a more reasonable level. Okay, are they done? I'm just going to go down that edge. Yep, happy with that now. And on we go to the next pull. Yeah, the Alaria, the spirit of the mountain, the spirits of the mountain are very impressive miniatures. I actually slightly prefer the Stoneheart King version with the two hammers, but the problem is that model is allied to the Great Nation of Ymetrica rather than just being a general model, so I don't use it. I would use the regular spirit with the Great Hammer because I'm allowed to use that in any other of the Great Nations of the Lumineth, like Iliatha, who get all the Venari bonuses, and I like my Venari. So unfortunately I can't use a Valinor particularly, but I can use the regular spirit. So when there is one, I will get one eventually. That could be a stream project that we do together. Our own battle cattle. Okay, 6. If the lion returns, what do you think will happen? It will probably be a lot more boring than you think. Like lion will know about the fallen, and he'll probably just like, why are we hiding this? We accept this and we move on. The reunion with Gilliman will probably be awkward, but I don't think it will cause that much lowercase c chaos. I genuinely don't. I think Lion's very pragmatic. Well, he's very angry sometimes, but he's also pragmatic when he needs to be. And Gilliman is the ultimate pragmatist. So I think it would just kind of be like, okay, Lion, you take one half, I'll take the other half, and we will fix this Imperium, okay? So Dante would probably be demoted. He might still be Warden of Imperium Nihilus, but he wouldn't be its ruler like the Lion would be. It's like Lion and Gilliman could rule one half each, both answering in air quotes to the Emperor. Regarding the trio, should they be red or should I go for a different colour? Honestly, I shouldn't advise on a Sylvaneth paint. Yeah, that nearly went to my lemonade. Honestly, go with a paint scheme that works for you. Sylvaneth are an army that are really cool to paint, but I've sucked at painting them and I wouldn't know where to start. With the browns and the greens, I know red sits well with green and brown because I did it with my orcs for years. So if you get the right mix of greens and browns, I think that your Sylvaneth will look fine. And the idea of them sort of being like either autumnal or just so angry that they're red, you know, like classic red-faced anger type thing, that works. I genuinely think it works. Something you could do that I've just had suggested in my ear is kind of going towards more cherry blossom pink type colour, like slightly paler reds and things like that. So look like cherry blossom trees and things like that, and going in that direction. But I wouldn't know where to start on that. I just had that echoed to my ear, so I'm relaying it to you. Mm-hmm. Right, so this is where we are with the pillars. I'm tempted to get out my Liberator Gold and just go around and edge highlight a few bits. But at the same time, I think actually putting it there against the temple, if they were too bright, it would be a bit egregious and take away from the white of everything and also the avatar itself and the fire effects. So I'm going to leave them quite muted. So I'm going to leave those now. I just need to tidy up some of the areas around them, but I need to wait for the washes to dry to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a very short break because I've been going for 2 hours without one, nearly. So I'm going to take a short break, pop to the bathroom, get myself another drink, and then when I come back, we're going to, we're going to tidy up these pillars. So you might be able to see just little bits that have gone off the edges. So we're going to tidy those up with some grey and some purple wash. And then we will be on to the final section, that being all the gold and silver on the top of the temple itself. And once that's done, we're done. So I think we should be done in about 4 hours. Well, 2 hours from now, I think would probably be not a bad place where we'll get to. Because it's only one big go rather than 8 little goes this time. So I'm going to take a quick break. I hope to be back by about 8:30. So within 8 minutes, might be a little bit less. We'll see how we go. And I will see you in a few minutes. Be right back. Okay, and we're back. I appreciate that I took my entire allotted time up to 8:30. I don't care. I needed the time. I needed the bathroom. So got that sorted, and we can crack on now with finishing off these pillars. It's not going to take me long, hopefully. Just got a bit of the Fang and Druki Violet to use, and then we're on to the temple top, like the altar top itself, when we can actually wrap this whole thing up. Right, where's the Fang? Are you the Fang? No. No. You? Yes, you're the Fang. There we go. A bit of a shake up because I haven't used it in a while. Okay, right. So I'm just going to go very carefully around the edges of the gold and silver that we've been painting over the last couple of hours. I don't know if you guys will be able to hear, but there's a lot of noise at the moment from some of the nearby flats. I think there's some hammers and furniture going in and things like that. But then again, I'm not in a position to complain because I've done it too. So I'm not complaining, merely observing that you may hear some banging and whatnot in the background of things going bump and like hammering sounds. So just giving you a fair warning. I don't know if you'll pick it up on your end, but I can certainly hear it on mine. It is definitely not ghosts, it is just neighbours. I mean, to be fair, I've probably been the worst since I moved in because I've been doing all this talking and live streaming and building furniture. I've probably been the worst in the entire complex for noise. So, well, certainly those that I can hear, it's usually me. So, like I say, not in any position to be complaining. I just feel myself getting neater as I went throughout this process. Fixing less on this one than I was on the first two. Feel myself already getting neater. It won't take long to fix at all. It's just got to be done for the sake of neatness. In fact, I need to do a bit on this top part as well. But actually, I'll tidy that up when I make a mess of it later. So I won't do that now. Just put a bit more on that to get into that lion's mouth. Okay, that's 5. If GW asked you to design an army, what would you design and what system would you design for? Oh god. I would not have a clue where to start. Well, I say I don't have a creative spark in me for that sort of thing, and, well, I don't. I take other people's work and then mess with it to my own ends. That's sort of where I get creative. Like, coming up with things from scratch would be a disaster for me. I would be absolutely awful at it, and it would be rubbish. So I don't really know, but probably something I could get resources for would be like Dark Mechanicum for 40k. Would probably be the army I would go with. But bear in mind that the miniatures team lead that, and then the writing team follow up. So I'd have to design the miniatures. So yeah, no. No, I wouldn't. I'd be terrible at it. Well, my roof isn't somebody else's. My floor isn't somebody else's roof, though my roof is someone's floor. But it's only 9 p.m. Or it's not even 9 p.m. yet. It's 20 to 9. So I consider it early enough to be fair game anyway. But yeah, I can understand it's annoying at certain hours. I certainly would never do anything at 4 a.m. There's a reason I stream at the times I stream. It's not going to wake anybody up or stop people really going to bed, unless they're going to bed at like 8 or 9 p.m. So I don't particularly mind. And also with where my flat actually is, this room is only connected above and below. There's nothing on that side of me. In fact, I think it's the electrics covered that side of me. So I don't have anyone on this side of my wall, and that side is my bedroom. So there's no one either side. It's just above and below. And as this is usually the spare room, there's good chance there's not going to be people sleeping in it half the time. Well, that's my theory anyway. It's sort of the safest room to make noise in, because it's not someone's living. It's not directly next to someone's living room. It's connected to a back bedroom, which not every resident will use. Like, mine is my office. That's 7. Last one. And then this section just needs to be washed off with Druchii Violet. And that is 8. Perfect. So I just need to wash those bits with Druchii Violet, and then the pillars are done, which is excellent news. get you two out of the way. Get the Druchii Violet. There we go. Almost better doing this like under the lights. I can see it under the lights far better than I can when I'm looking at it because then they're back to the light. So this shouldn't take long at all. Especially if the pot stays open, which I'm hoping it will. Okay, good. That's one. Oh, move that drinks mat. Pop that on. So I'm actually holding these to the light like that, just a bit lower down, so I can actually see which parts I've just repainted, because they're a very different tone, but it's harder to pick up that tone difference when it's a bit darker. So that's why things look a little bit different. That's why. Yeah, designing from scratch is difficult, and game mechanics are hard. Like, game design is hard, and I have full respect for anyone who does game design either as a career or as a hobby. It is seriously impressive stuff, and I wouldn't be able to do it myself. Lore is one thing, yeah. Writing lore is doable. You've got to be careful, and you've got to fact check it carefully. But writing lore is one thing. Writing game mechanics and balanced game mechanics, that's a whole different kettle of fish, and a very difficult one at that. It's not a matter of being smart at all. It's just being able to do that is a skill. It's not a measure of intelligence. It's a skill to be able to game design and work through game mechanics like that. That's not. You can't design a game should not be you, or balance a game is not an insult to someone's intelligence. Saying you can design a game is a testament to someone's skills, I think, is probably how I would think of it usually. Getting there now. These ones are a bit neater for the most part. Well, I say that. The gold was neater, the silver was a mess on these tall ones, so still plenty to tidy up. Yeah, yeah, I just asked GW. Obviously, GW hasn't always looked for game balance as a priority, but it is difficult, and GW has struggled for decades to balance their games as best they can. And usually they've done an okay job, but not a perfect job, which is all we can really ask for. You'll probably never get a perfect job when it comes to absolute perfect game balance. Hell, even chess, one of the most simple-ish games in history, is technically unbalanced by the advantage of first move. No game system is ever perfectly, truly balanced. Okay, that's pillar number 6 dealt with. not really moaning about game balance at all. It's merely just pointing out that it's difficult. Okay, last one, and then the pillars can officially be called complete. And I think that we have arrived at that junction. Excellent. I'm not going to stick them down right now because I need to paint the top of the altar, and having the pillars stuck on will make that a little bit more awkward because I won't be able to hold my pizza dish quite so easily. But we are now finished with the pillars, and it's not even 9 o'clock, so that's a win. I'm just going to leave those there for just a moment, and then we will crack on with the top of the temple, which I'll remind you looks like this. So we've done all the stuff we've done today. You actually can't see because it's all the stuff on the sides of the pillars. What we're doing now is all those grey bits on the top. So the bit round the altar, the pool of blood, and the comet symbols are the main ones. But there's also, if you look particularly to the in the front of the left-hand fire pit, you've got these star symbols as well, and so it's almost like a planetarium type thing going on. And those should also really be painted. So we've got a few things still to do. Right. So the main plan for doing this section is it's primarily going to be in gold. So we're going to have the ring that we saw is going to be gold. The ring around the pool is going to be gold. The comet trails and the halos are going to be in gold. But the comets themselves and I think the little stars are going to be in silver. And there's a couple of little suns and moons on here as well. So I'll paint them in gold and silver respectively. So it shouldn't be too bad. Again, it's a 2-paint job, well, a 4-paint job when you add in the washes, so it shouldn't be too ridiculous. So I'm just going to clear myself some space, get these fire pits out of the way, get the altar with the green goblin avatar out of the way, and then get my drink out of the way just for a minute while I pull this front and center. Oh, I can't pull it quite front and center because, well, it's too big with the desk and my computer. It's not ideal. Those can just come off and out of the way. Into here. So yeah, if I just show you this sort of on the pizza, as I've affectionately come to call the top of the dais. So you can see here we've got the 2 comets, which are here and here. We've got this ring here. We've got this ring here that you might be able to pick out. We've also got a sun here, a moon here, and a few stars dotted around. So there's still plenty on here, but it's pretty much going to be gold and silver. Shouldn't be too difficult as long as I'm careful. As long as I'm careful, they say. I will do my best to be accurate, because if I can get this accurate, then we're going to be done in an hour. So I'm going to start with the silver, because that's the smaller ones, and we'll get going. So I'm going to start with the comets, so the actual ball for the comet, but the trails I'm going to do in gold. So I'm just going to show you where I'm painting. I'm going to be painting here, and I'm going to be painting here. So those 2 areas, I'm going to be painting silver right now. Same method as we've used previously on the pillars. That being Stormhost Silver, washed probably pretty heavily with Nuln Oil, especially because this part of the temple will have been walked on more often. So I might add a splash of Agrak's Earthshade as well. I'm just going to have to get really careful that I don't miss. Actually, to be fair, these comets are wrapped up in their own tail. So it's not so bad for the silver. The gold I'm going to have to be very careful with. Actually, there's a ring around the outside of the... Okay, so you probably can't see this, but on the comet, you've got the silver of the comet itself and then the gold tail. But you've also got this very thin layer just sitting around the outside like a halo. And I'm going to paint that silver as well, just as an extra detail. So I'm making my life harder, but I have to paint it something. And since it's the bottom layer, that makes sense. Too much. That's a really interesting observation and a very poignant observation from chat as well about game balance, just to go back to that. And that's us. I've talked about this before in a video like 4 or 5 years ago. I made a video saying why I think 40k will never be balanced. And in that video, I essentially said what's been said there, that the players will often come up with overpowered stuff. And if there is something to exploit, then the player base will exploit it. That's just technically the competitive end. That's how the community works. You find the most powerful build or the most powerful army and you use every advantage you have to win. And that ends up creating an imbalance because not everything has access to the same amount of broken or the same degree of nonsense. And so there is that imbalance and there's nothing that can be done about that. That was my argument at the time. Now that's not to completely say, oh, well, the game will never be balanced, so why bother? And absolve GW of all game design flaws. That's not what I'm saying. I'm merely pointing out that no matter if GW got the best game designers in the world to write the best, tightest rule set in history, there would still be OP stuff. Yeah, with so many models, weapons, combos, pleasing everyone, as you put it, is broadly impossible. It's very difficult to balance the game. And even if you think you can, and you create a very streamlined and balanced system like 8th was supposed to be, you end up with broken builds. There's nothing much you can do about it because there's just too many variables. If nothing else, it's too many variables. And that's before you add alliances into the mix. Add allies in and suddenly the permutations become even more crazy. Like that army that shouldn't benefit from this mechanic now can because of its allies. Which is part of what hurt 6th and 7th because the allies matrix was, particularly in 6th, the allies matrix allowed some of the already strong armies alone to become even more insane by just pairing off their strongest aspects and allowing each army to cover their weaknesses. And we saw it with Soup as well. Having trouble as a Knights player controlling the board and getting command points, just enlist the Loyal 32. Having trouble killing big units, enlist a Smash Captain. And so on and so forth. There's a reason, and that's another example of like creating a flavorful mechanic that creates some interesting game space, and it gets used by the players in a way that probably it wasn't intended. But that's the way that a lot of the community thinks. So it is what it is. There's nothing to do about it. It just is. And the game has to look cool. Yeah. The game also has to look cool. That's got to be taken into consideration too. They have to sell the game. So that's where we are with the first comet. As you can see, I've done like a recessed outline. So there's a recess that I painted into with silver, and I'm going to do the tail of the comet. I will get my astronomical terms correct. The tail of the comet in gold. I'm not an astronomer, but I am a physicist. I do know these terms. Oopsie daisy. You do not want to know the conversations going on in my ears right now, everybody. There's a very strange conversation going on in my ears between people in the Discord. Come on. Come on. Okay, we're nearly there around this tail now, or around the outline. Okay, I'm most of the way around the outline now on this silver, so we should be making some pretty quick progress. Though I think I'm going to do a very slight amount of tidying up of the grey, but I've actually got a little bit of grey that I need to tidy up anyway on another part of the top, so I'm not being messy, but if I miss by a fraction, then that's okay, because I have to tidy it up anyway. Sort of is the logic. So I'm trying to be accurate, but I know that if I miss, then it could be worse. Okay, so there we go. That's the two comet outlines done and the comets themselves. So I've just got a few of these little stars and moons that I'd like to do very carefully. So I'm going to do that now, and then we'll just have the gold to do, which is actually the bigger bit, to be honest. The gold's a lot bigger than the silver in terms of the job to be done. But once that's done, we'll be on to the washes, and then we'll be finished. And I might even get it, because it's only 9 o'clock, I might even just, oh no, I've got hiccups, sneak it inside 3.5 hours, maybe, if I'm lucky. Yeah, that works. Oops, sorry. Scrape the microphone with the back of my paintbrush there. That wasn't intended. Okay, these definitely need tidying up. They're awkward. Okay, I don't know where chat's going now. Chat's going very left. Not in a political sense, just going very, very interesting direction of conversation. I think I'm going to curtail, if you don't mind. Oh God, that's messy. Okay, so that's the silver done. Just to show you what that now looks like. You've got these little stars, moons, and comets. Granted, I need to tidy up the regions around the stars. They're very, very messy because they're very, very small and not very raised up. So I've made a bit of a mess of them, but it could be worse. So where's my gold? Retributive armor, you're over there. Excellent. Okay, drink. And I missed a couple of stars. Right, hold on. Rewind a sec. Missed a couple. At least I noticed now rather than before I got my brush with other paint on it. At least I noticed it now. So it's easier for me to fix it. That's not gone very well. have I now got all of them? This is a good chance to just tidy up, because I will have missed. God, I did a terrible job. I did a terrible job. Shouldn't have painted them from that angle, trying to be clever. Should have just picked the model up and painted them like this. Oh good, I missed another one. So I actually ended up missing 3 and messing up most of the rest. Okay, got all the silver done now. I've definitely done it right now. So there we go. Now I've got all the stars done. Doesn't look like that much like that at the moment. Nearly put it in the laminate again. Doesn't much look like a sacrificial altar at the moment. It's when you add the pillars and the fire and the giant statue of an avatar of Khaine. That's when you get the look. I've on every occasion avoided putting the paintbrush in the lemonade. It's all fine. Oh, Indiana Jones reference. Well done. Thank you, chat. That came up the other day, actually, on a pub quiz I was doing with my family. There was an Indiana Jones round, and they showed the photos of different characters. And me and my brother had an argument over it because he decided that the bad guy from Temple of Doom was called Kali Ma, which was the god, or Kali, I should say. But no, the bad guy was called Mother Arm, the priest. So we had a very small argument, and then he muted me because he was salty. So that was interesting. This looks good, actually. It's a bit simplistic, but once it's washed, I think it will look good. Just going to paint that there thing gold. Do. Okay, so that's sort of what we're going for with the comet. So that's with the gold added to the comet trail. So I'm just going to repeat that, and then I've got a couple of, and I've got 1, 2 like suns plus the rims around the comets, and then the 2 circles around the pool and the edge. So we're getting there now. Some good progress, as usual. What are we? 9:10. Okay. I'm not racing the clock, I'm just keeping an eye on it. Oh, I'm not pushing myself, don't worry. I've made a promise that I was going to finish this tonight. I'd like to finish it at a reasonable hour, but I said I would finish it, so I'm going to finish it. And I'm not rushing. I'm being accurate because I don't want to spend ages repainting the top of the temple grey. So I'm still being accurate. It's not a problem at all. It just takes a bit of time. And I appreciate that time that it takes. I'm just trying to get through it as best I can. I'm also aware that the nearer I get to 10, 11 o'clock, the more of the British crowd will go to bed unless they're on furlough. And there's less and less people on furlough nowadays. So it's also about, having people here to chat to makes things go faster. It makes it easier. So, I would like to do it while chat are still awake. Especially if the Americans haven't rotated in and so on and so forth. Also makes the stream easier to process because if it's over 4 hours, then it has to go unpublished for a while it catches up with itself. Whereas if it's under 4 hours, assuming it's monetized and none of my streams have been getting immediately monetized and have had to be manually reviewed, then it helps. So that's when you add in the ring around the edge. That's where we are now. So I'm just going to repeat all that with the second comment. I apologise that I'm currently doing this off camera. It's not even like the pillars where they were in my hand. Just for accuracy's sake, I'm actually resting the altar on my lap. On my knee, because I've got my legs crossed. So I'm resting it on my knee, and that means it's off camera. It's just to help keep it balanced without having to lean over the desk, which would just be awkward. So this just gives me the best access to it. So it's just apologies that you can't really see what I'm doing. I'm just having to show you at intervals what we're up to. Okay, trivia question for chat. So at the moment, I'm painting a comet. Well, I'm painting the tail of a comet. But what I would like to know is what is the name of the spell that revolved around a comet back in Warhammer Fantasy? As a hint, there is now a paint named after it. So what was the comet spell in Warhammer Fantasy? Potentially one of the most devastating spells in the game, if you could get it to line up. I don't think I ever got it to line up because I didn't really use it much, but I think it was an absolutely devastating spell. Okay, you got that one pretty quickly. That was Comet of Cassandora. A spell that, rather like the Death Strike missile, would only hit once, but if it landed just right, was utterly devastating. And sticking with ridiculous spells from the Warhammer day, from the fantasy days, what was the name of the spell in the Law of Death? Oh, sorry. What was the name of the wizard in the spell The Purple Sun in the Law of Death? So there was a spell. It was called The Purple Sun of something. And what was the name of the individual associated with it, if you can remember? It's currently known as the Purple Sun of Shyish, as the Endless spell in AOS. But what was the name of the individual associated with the Purple Sun back in Fantasy? Since you seem so on the ball about your spells. Okay, so the second comet is now done. You can see the two comets there. It's looking good. So I'm just going to do the two little suns that are in this sort of constellation effect next. The Purple Sun of Zerus, as I say it. So X sort of turns to a Z. So I would say it as Zerus. The Purple Sun. I actually got to cast the Purple Sun at top whack once. So I was playing High Elves and I was playing against Ogre Kingdoms. And I had a mage on horse, like spare. So I just took it in this game. And I bombed it up the flank. And on turn one and cast the boosted version of the Purple Sun. So that needed a 25 plus to cast. I got a huge amount of power dice and just went for it, which allowed you to cast essentially a large blast template. And I rolled really well, got it off, and launched it across the entire ogre battle line. And the way it used to work back in fantasy is you took an initiative test, and if you failed it, you died. Straight up, you died. Now, ogres back in that time were initiative 2. Can you imagine how devastating that spell was to the ogre battle line? And the beautiful part of it was, because it was a Law of Death spell, the Law attribute kicked in, and I essentially regenerated all my power dice off of casting the Purple Sun, because every time you, I think, either caused a wound or killed a model with a spell from the Law of Death, you rolled a d6, and on a 5+, you got a power dice back. So because I'd done so much insane, absurd damage, I got, like, all of my power dice back. So I've done the 2 little suns on there. You can see the little gold circles. It's them done. I'm now going to tackle this ring around here, around the pool. And to be honest, I might actually ring it in silver, so I might get the silver back out and do the ring around it like I had before, though I'm not sure if I'll do that. I think I should. For consistency's sake, I think I should. Oh, Pit of Shades, the Penumbral Pendulum, Pit of Shades, Occam's Mind Razor. I love the Law of Shadow. The Law of Shadow, and my favourite spell, I think, back in the day was Throne of Vines from the Law of Life, because it allowed your Life Wizard to basically just cast all the spells, like, mega boosted. So if you cast Flesh to Stone, suddenly your elves were toughness 7. If you cast Regrowth, you got like D6 models back. Or D6 wounds worth of models back. It was... Oh, the protection against miscast made it absolutely very, very useful. But that wasn't why I cast it, because I didn't really care at the time. I was playing High Elves, and I just wanted to have a Life Mage. I don't ever remember actually miscasting. I didn't play that much fantasy, so I never actually ended up miscasting, as I recall. I was very lucky. Ooh, the big spell from each law. I'm going to have a go at this. So, I've only got 8th edition to go from. So, you had Flamestorm for the Law of Fire. You had the Transform Yourself into a Dragon spell from the Law of Beasts. I can't remember its actual name, but you could turn yourself into a dragon. There was Final Transmutation from the Law of Metal, where you turn... Law of Light, the top spell was... So there was... It wasn't Net of Amintok, it wasn't Speed of Light, it wasn't anything like that. I think it might have been the mega double turn type thing. I can't remember its name. I want to say that Time's Arrow, but I know that's wrong. Law of Life was the Dwellers Below. Law of Heavens was Chain Lightning. Law of Shadow was Occam's Mind Razor. And Law of Death was the Purple Sun of Zerus. I just can't remember the one for the Law of Light. What the big mega spell for that one was. Hopefully chat can remind me. Flames of the Phoenix. Never had to face Infernal Gateway. Yeah, Flames of the Phoenix was like every model takes a strength 3 hit. Next turn on a 4+, every model takes a strength 4 hit. Next turn on a 4+, every model takes a strength 5 hit. Flames of the Phoenix was just a silly spell. Oh yeah, but that Curse of Years was more targeted, wasn't it? It was a character sniper, whereas at least I think it was. Yeah, Magic in Warhammer Fantasy was fun. It was also utterly broken. I think as hilarious as all these great spells were, the Magic phase was one of, if not the most powerful phase in the game. Certainly for some editions. Yes, I've just had it told in my ear. It was have a level 4 wizard, which not every army had a level 4 wizard, by the way, or you lost. Which is not a good system to be. Like, imagine having it psychic powers be so overpowered that if you don't have a mastery level 3 psyker, you auto lose. Essentially, that's how powerful the magic phase got, because the spells were hilariously awesome, but as a result of being hilariously awesome, they were overpowered as sin and arguably too easy to cast. Mind you, the Purple Sun needed a 25+ to boost to get the boosted version, so not all of them were easy, but some of them were arguably too easy. Yep, I remember the Dreaded 13th. That was a spell that survived the Dreaded 13th into AOS and did broadly the same thing for a bit. I think it was every model you killed, you got a Clan Rat. I don't know what it... No, I don't remember how it exactly functioned because I never played with Skaven. Or against Skaven much either. No one who was playing against that had Skaven was casting the Dreaded 13th because Clan Scryer was broken in the early days of AOS. No one needed a Grey Seer. All you needed was Warp Lightning Cannons and the like. Right, AOS 1 was broken on launch, I don't disagree, but Skaven Scryer was exceptionally unfun. So I've just done the central ring of gold, and I'm going to do, there's an outer recessed ring that I'm going to do in silver around that. So the only thing left for the gold is this ring on the outside, which I'll just show you there, is there in grey, so I'm going to do that, and that was it. That'll be it for the gold. It's been a pretty productive roll. Just reminiscing about old fantasy and all that stuff. It's been an interesting 20 minutes. Still at it, yep. Just doing the top of the temple now. Some good progress though. We're really getting there now. I think we may. I don't think we'll be done by 10 o'clock UK, so in the next half an hour. I don't think we'll be done because I've got a lot of tidying up to do. But we are getting close to being finished with the Altar of Khaine project. I certainly think we'll be done by 10:30. So things are looking up. Bum, 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 bum. Again, apologies, I'm sort of painting on my lap because it's easier for me to balance the model as opposed to doing it up on the desk or in my hands. Apologies again that you can't really see what I'm doing as a result of that. And that I'm just looking down because it's a bit more boring even than before when I was looking at the model. But we're getting there. We are getting there. We're about a quarter of the way around the ring already. Okay, let's have another trivia question. We'll do a 40k question this time, since that's what I'm known for. So, many of you may be aware of the character known as Tor Garadon, a recently elevated Primaris Space Marine of the Imperial Fist. However, Tor Garadon was once a Firstborn, and during his time as a Firstborn, he was captain of a company of the Imperial Fist. What number was that company, and what was their sort of unofficial nickname / title? I will give you a hint. They had a book about them, which was mostly about Darnath Lysander, to be honest. Mind you, that book made the Darnath Lysander lore video much, much easier to do, so it was very worth it. It just... What was Tor Garadon's company, and what was their title, if you will? Okay, we're halfway round on the ring. So we're getting there with that. So let's keep going round. Okay, so we've got an answer from chat, and it actually is correct. The third company of the Imperial Fists, and they were the Sentinels of Terror. Yeah. So if you go back and watch my Darnath Lysander Champions of Humanity lore video, then I believe I talk about it in there, particularly because Lysander, when he returned from the warp, was eventually put in effective command of Third Company, and he and Garadon clash of personalities, shall we say, between Garadon and Lysander, but they made it work. They got their revenge on whoever it was, Honsu, I think. No, that's wrong, not Honsu. It might have been Honsu. I can't remember what the name of that warsmith was that tortured Lysander. Okay, we're over 3/4 of the way around this ring now. Just getting towards the end. Almost there now. Come on. Come on, Tac. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, 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 bum. Da-da-dum, da-dum, dum, dum. Right, there we go. So that is the golden ring around the edge done. I'm just going to put a little bit more gold on the central circle, and actually I'm just going to touch up some of the gold in general because it's a bit messy from the first coat, not entirely thorough. So I'm just going to apply a second coat to parts of it just to sort it out. It's not too bad, it just needs a couple of bits in a couple of places just to make sure that I've got a solid coat on the model. But we're almost at the end of the base coat stage. I've just got to go back over one bit with the silver and then probably tidy up the bit that I'm going to make a mess of with gold. But then we will be almost done. We're so close now to finishing this project once and for all. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what that looks like when it is finished. Oops, too much. Don't fill in the azurite rune, you spoon. Okay. It's mainly up in that corner, isn't it? Sorry, chat, I will be with you in a moment. Just trying to make sure I don't have to do anything twice. Might as well just make sure the suns are completely done. And yep, there we go. Right, gold is done. So there we are. That is the almost complete. It just needs a wash or two version of the top of the altar. I've also got to do a little ring of silver around this circle. Sorry, around this circle's edge, just to complement the comets. But that will not take me too long. So yeah, we're getting really close. It's 9:45. It's going well. Jeez, needed that. Shantu, thank you. Shantu was the warsmith. Yeah, Honsu was the one involved with Uriel Ventress, I think. Or Huron Blackheart, maybe, I forget. So yeah, Shantu. I knew it was something like that, so thank you very much for your help there, reminding me. So let's tidy up this silver, and then we will be ready for the final wash and assembly. Well, wash, tidy up, and assembly. So we're almost in the home straight. But we're certainly on, well, you could almost consider this entire stream the last lap. But now we're on the proper last lap. Not quite home straight. I'll consider we're on the home straight when I get the glue out. But I'll probably be cheeky and wash this little ring of Stormhost that I'm doing now with Caribou Crimson, sort of to represent the overspill and blood runoff, rather than it trying to get Null Oil into a tiny little gap. So I'm going to probably be a bit cheeky. But it will be thematically appropriate, so it's fine. Okay, I think that's the silver to a point where I'm happy with it. Almost, well, yeah, so I don't know how well you'll be able to see that, but I've added a silver ring around the gold ring, so that's what I've just done. And that's the last base coat of the project, aside from tidy up, because there will be tidy up, there's always tidy up. Right, so the silver is still drying in some areas, but I'm not washing that bit with Null Oil anyway. So, Null Oil. I'm probably going to be, again, quite heavy with the Null Oil because, well, this is the floor of a temple, and that temple will have been walked on a lot, logically. So that's what I'm doing. What do you think the Ynnari are doing? I would guess searching for the last Crone Sword, if they haven't already confirmed its identity. And if they have, then they will be trying to find a way to get it. Otherwise, just going around assisting Eldari forces where they need them, and pursuing their own incomprehensible goals, because that's just what Eldari do. Oh yeah, someone told me that Slanesh had the last Crone sword, but I've yet to like find the like primary source on that one, and I keep forgetting to ask Remlays. So I've heard that, but I haven't actually confirmed it for myself that Slanesh has the last Crone sword. Okay, just got to do the rim of the tail for the second comet, and then we are done. I mean, to be fair, we say that Slanesh has got it good luck to the Eldari. They've already managed to steal relics from under Mortarian's nose, so I wouldn't put it past them to pull nonsense off. And also, yes, Chegarak is a thing that exists. That should not be discounted. Chegarak exists. Like, I've never really liked the Eldari, and I've never really had a care for their particular plight, but if there's a faction I expect to get a job done, they're the faction you typically go to. They might do it in the most roundabout and confusing and annoying way possible, but they'll do it. Fingers are starting to hurt now. Excuse me. Too many fizzy drinks. Apologies, I seem to just have intermittent hiccups and it's not fun and I don't like it. Blimey. Credit to the 10 or 11 people who have stuck through this, particularly if you've been here from very early on and you've sat through 3.5 hours now of this. I have to give you credit. Like, I know it could be some interesting conversation, but it's been 3 hours of looking at broadly nothing. So I give credit where credit is due, I suppose. I have to say, I feel like it's interesting as I'm painting this, because I'm doing the runes on the rim of the pool, and it's the same like 4-letter combinations again as I was doing on the pillars. It's like Azerite language doesn't seem to evolve very far in general, and I appreciate that may have just been for the speed of design, but I really feel like they seem to be repeating the same like letter free combinations a lot, or at least it felt that way certainly when I was doing the pillars, and it's not true of all of them here, but certainly when I was doing the pillars I felt like I was doing the same like 4-letter combinations over and over again. And I appreciate again design time, design space, it is important to make it, you know, reasonable. Just an observation really. I've gone quite heavy with the Caribou Crimson around the rim. Just again, representing like blood spill. over. I'm not going to use blood for the blood god, but I think I can be very thick with the wash, and I'm going to wash the silver as well with a quick coat of Carabao Crimson, just the silver around the outside to show that, yeah, there's been blood in there before. Yep, that was good. That'll be a bit more gentle as we do the suns around the outside. And we've got the two comets. Oh, the tails of the two comets primarily. Yes, yes, blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne and all that. Yes, yes. Which of the 7 deadly sins would be most associated with Slanesh? Oh god, I don't know. Greed, maybe? Like greed for knowledge? Possibly. I can't say I know my 7 deadly sins very well because I don't care. Pride I would normally assume to be a Khornate. Actually, well, wrath would obviously be Khorne's thing. But pride could easily sit within Khorne as well for like martial pride and honour. Gluttony and stuff for power and knowledge, absolutely. There's plenty of options for all the gods, really. And obviously, since there's only 4 of them, or 4 major ones, and then 7 deadly sins, arguably some of them will have 2, if not all of them sharing them. In fact, all of them probably have all 7, to be honest, in one way or another. They just manifest in different ways. Like, lust, yeah, sure, but it also manifests in Khorne for blood, Tzeentch for power and knowledge. Nurgle, less so, I guess. But certainly it manifests in Khorne and Nurgle, and so Khorne and Tzeentch as well. The gods are not entirely one-dimensional. GW very much typecast them as more one-dimensional these days, and I think they used to be. Like, they've sort of gone in a cycle of being one-dimensional to multi-dimensional to back to being no more than 2-dimensional. They sort of changed the presentation of the gods a bit, particularly with Sigmar. 40k has been a bit more around the houses, but Sigmar's, the gods have been portrayed very simply. I don't know about that one. Sure, Nurgle looks larger and his armies are a bit more shambling, but that's not laziness. That's just the slow, ever-rolling way of life. The circle of life rolls on. It doesn't have to do it quickly. It just will. Nurgle's not lazy. Nurgle has plans and schemes and is constantly in their lab experimenting. So I would argue not so much. Right, here we are. that is pretty much finished. I just need to tidy up around the stars in particular with the grey and purple wash. So I've just got a couple of little bits to tidy up, but actually I think we are pretty much there now. And it's 5 to 10. Yeah, we'll definitely be done by 10:30. Oops. Insert Lion King joke because I said Circle of Life. Yay, well done. Okay. Where's the fang? There's the fang. This will take no more than 2 minutes. Just got to be very quick, very careful. I'll be done in a jiff. Okay, so there's a little bit more cleanup than I thought I had to do around the comets in particular, but it's not too bad. It's just very minor tedium. To be fair, I did out around the gold ring around the edge actually really well by my standards. I've got very little cleanup to do with that, which is very much a relief because that could have taken ages. Just repainting around that ring. It's fine. Go. There we go. There we go. Right. That's that then. Just got to wait for that to dry. Get the Druky Violet. And then get the glue. I mean, to be honest, I could probably start gluing now. But I'll hang on just for a minute. Do things in the right order. No, that's not quite how Nurgle works. Like, Nurgle isn't just about stagnation. Nurgle is about... there is stagnancy in there, just accepting one's fate in the great circle of life. But it also represents hope, in a way. It is, in a way, an acceptance that things are the way they are and your place is what it is. That could be comforting to people. So it's not just about sloth and laziness. Yeah, this is what I was expecting. I expected people were going to need to go to sleep at some point because I've been going so damn long. But we've only just passed 3.5 hours, so I think we can get this under 4 hours, which will be good. Which will be very good. Druky Violet, where are you? You're there. Okay, done. Done, 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 done. We're done! We're done! Right, let's get this thing built. We're done, 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 we're done. Ha 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 ha. If I add up all these streams, like the building stream, and then the 5 streams that this has been of painting, and then add up the hours I did off stream doing all those bloody pillar washes, this has probably been, God, what will it be? 30 hours? 35-hour project? Oh, blooming heck. Right. Alright, so which way do I want to do... Actually, they're completely symmetrical. It does not matter in the slightest which way I do it. It's symmetrical. Well, it's double symmetrical. It's sort of like a diagonal line of symmetry, I guess. No, that way and that way. It's two... It's two double mirror symmetry. There we go. Right, let's get the pillars on. The pillars are the tricky bit of the assembly because I have to get them absolutely perfectly symmetrical for it to look right. So I'm going to be very, very careful in sticking the pillars on because I don't want to get this wrong now. I've come so far. I'm not messing it up now. I refuse to get this wrong now after all of this nonsense. Okay, the first 2 are easy because they're around the edges. It's a plastic model, of course I'm reaching for plastic glue. Come on, stick. Plastic glue doesn't always stick so well over paint. This may be trickier than I anticipated. Okay, I may have to bust out the super glue for this one. Actually, just for the sake of the fact that everything's painted, might make a mess. I think someone just suggested in my ear, get the super glue. So I'm going to get the super glue. Where's my super glue? That's my super glue. It's a really wide nozzle super glue though. It's the Element Games one. It's just really wide nozzle, and so that worries me a tad. That if I miss, I'm in all kinds of bother with it just destroying the paint. Well, not destroy. Oh god, and it's all leaking out the top. It's leaking out the top. It's leaking out the top. Okay, don't need to do the bottom because the bottom isn't affected. Okay, let's try this again. Place, push in. Okay. Oh, it's sliding. Stop sliding. Just hold. Right, okay, this is going to take longer than I thought. I was hoping it would just be a quick slap, 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 done. It's not. It's going to take a bit more actual effort than that to get these things stuck on correctly. We may be here a while. Not that we haven't already been here a while, but we may be here a little while more. Yay, yay. This is just what I wanted to do at the end of the stream. We spent half an hour gluing stuff. That's fine. Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. Have I got super glue on my... Shine a light. I've got super glue on my desk now. That wasn't supposed to happen. Damn super glue. Well, that's my desk marked. Forever. My super glue. Yay. Oh no, that'll lift. That'll lift. I'm just going to be careful where I put the glue on the steps. On the pillars. Just stop them leaking out the bottom and thus marking the desk. Because I don't want that. I don't want that. That would be a disaster. Okay, so those two are the easy ones because they just sit on either side. Now I've got to put the next two on. Well, actually, I've got to put the next 6 on in perfect symmetry with each other, both in terms of separation from these ones and being symmetrical to each other to leave a nice gap at the middle for the 2 central pillars. So I think I'm going to do the 2 central pillars next. Excuse me. I'm going to do the 2 central pillars next to try and maximize the chance of getting them symmetrical because I really want them to be symmetrical. Right. So I need one of the flaming ones with the braziers that we did last night. Okay, so I will place you on between those two, and I will create that symmetry for both so they will have an even spacing. Okay, just got to get that lined up absolutely right, absolutely square. I think I have, and press in. If it would please mind, you know, pressing in and drying, that would be absolutely lovely, you inanimate piece of plastic that I shouldn't be talking to like it's sentient. So if that's right, then that one will sit there, and that's a decent spacing. Yeah, okay, good. I've got that about right. Phew, I was really worried about that there. I was really worried. Who'd have thought that this would be the most stressful and difficult portion of the program? Because I certainly didn't. I'd have thought this was just a quick and simple bit to wrap the stream up while we all celebrate together, finally finishing this 35-hour project. That's what I was hoping this was going to be. It's not. It turns out to be one more strenuous exercise on the home straight whilst we wrap up everything. Okay. Do. Okay. Come on. Stay. So this is where we are. I've got 4 pillars in place. Got the 2 central ones and the 2 outside ones. And now I just need to, in perfect symmetrical placement, get them evenly spaced between each other. I've got 2 pillars to put in here and 2 pillars to put in here, and they need to be evenly spaced. Oh, and also symmetrical. So I'm going to have a lot of fun with this portion of the program. A lot more fun than I expected. I knew I had to be careful. I didn't think I had to be this careful. So we're not done yet. We're nearly there. We're going to get there. I promise we're going to get there. I've just got to work it out a bit and make sure I've got my positioning absolutely right. Yep, I have. Okay, so that sits there. That one sits there. Is that about? No, that one needs to come back that way a little bit. So that one sits there and that one sits there. Okay, that works. Okay. Blimey heck. Okay. Okay, pillar number 5. I might actually put the other fire pillar on the other side, just so I've got this absolutely spot on. Stop it. Okay, so that's the 5th pillar. I'm going to go get the 6th one in now because I'm going to find that more easy to do symmetrically. Oh, come on, come on, come on. We're nearly there, we're nearly there, we're nearly there, we're nearly there. Come on. Okay. So that sits there-ish. Yeah, that sits there-ish. It's about symmetrical. So that's pillars, the central pillars. I'm just going to put one over here and one in here. And then we are, well, I'm going to put the fire pits on because I'm not going to stick the altar down, like the avatar down, because I want to use that as a separate terrain feature sometimes or an objective marker. So I'm not going to stick it. But we will be at the end of the process. We'll be there. We'll be done. And it would be time to bust out music if it weren't copyrighted. But it will be, so we won't. There's no super glue on the bottom of this, which is good. Pop that there for now. Right. You and you. You want to go that side because you're more broken. And you want to go that side because you're less broken. Okay. So I want to sit them there and there. Roughly. Yep. It's about right. Okay. So you sit your corner over that gap. Okay. I can do that. I can do that. This is where all the chickens come home to roost, or whatever the saying is. I don't even blooming know. Sorry, computer. Okay, that's number 7, and now number 8. Right, there we go. If you look there on the screen right now, I have got the 8 pillars. They are, actually, sorry chat, I need you to disappear for a minute. I have got the 8 pillars as symmetrical as I'm going to get them. So that is that. I've also ruined my desk by marking it with super glue, so go me. I might need to just sand that off later. It is what it is. Well done. So the only thing I've got left to do is put 2 fire braziers on and then, well, place the avatar and not actually sticking the avatar down. So the avatar is going to sit roughly here. So that's where the avatar will sit. Roughly. But I will put photos of this on Twitter and in the Discord server. So everyone will get a proper look at what we've done over the past too many hours. I've loved doing this project, but my God, it's taken a lot of hours to make happen. It's been a lot of hours. Okay, we're going to put you down there so you don't mark my desk anymore. Stay down. I do have some sandpaper, so I could probably sand that down. Right, braziers, fire pits. Okay, last question for chat then. I've sort of got 2 trains of thought on the braziers. So I can put the fire pits to be very narrow, so sort of like here and here, but that covers up some of the sun and moon symbols that I've been painting. Or I can make them much wider and use the sort of little stars as like guidelines for where to put them, and I end up with that effect. What do you think? Do you think I should put them narrower or wider apart? What do you think, chat? Have the last bit of democracy in this project. Yeah. So that's the wide build again, and the narrow build would be to put them more like here. Yeah, sort of if you look at it like straight on, I just get this square to the camera, that almost like they're almost like lined up with one another. Whereas if it's wider apart, it doesn't sync up so well. Oops, chat, welcome back. Huh, I haven't seen someone with a tick in chat before. A verified individual in chat. I haven't seen that before. Hello, welcome. Right, so I'm leaning towards doing it narrower. I've got a couple of people in my ear have said narrower. I've got one person in chat saying wider. So I'm open to ideas here. I think I'm going to go with the majority of people in my ear, and I'm going to go narrower. I know it covers up the sun and moon symbols, but I could see the Daughters of Khaine doing exactly that. Like, why would they care about Sigmar's symbols? So I'm inclined to the narrower build because it just frames it sort of if I line them up particularly with the entry with the back pillars, it just creates sort of a natural progression as you walk through, especially because I'm going to have a Daughter of Khaine like on either side, like a witch elf stood there on either side sort of as like guardians. So it kind of, that was my thought process. Okay, sorry, but that's what I'm going to do. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do the other fire first because that sits very nicely around that sun. Fire, I'm going to turn in that direction. Sure it's facing dead straight. And we place it down. So that one then. To sit there. Yep, there. So just there. Okay, I can visualize that in my mind of where that's supposed to land. Okay, so there we go. Final assembly complete. Just keep turning the pizza. So this is the final product. I'm going to just turn the light a little bit. This is the altar of Khaine completed. And for the final effect, of course, we need to add the avatar. So I'm just going to place that up at the top, as far back as it can go. And that is the complete altar of Khaine. It's taken us 35 to 40 hours. It's been very slow going. And it's taken us 4 hours tonight to finish it off. But it is done. It is finished. With the possible exception of when I add Morgwaith's Blade Coven, as they would serve as a very nice priestess and the like. And there you have it. There you have it. That is what all of our hard work has been towards over the past 6 streams, actually. 5 painting and 1 construction. So I will get some good pictures of this on a nice background. I will pop it in the Discord server. And I will also pop it on the channel's Twitter and Facebook pages. Yes, I do have a Facebook page, link in the description. Don't use it much, but it's there. So I will put that all up if people would like to have a closer look at all the details. I'll make a nice long photo album because there's a lot of different components gone into this. And I'm really, really proud of this. I genuinely am. Like, I've never done a project like this before. And I've certainly never done a hobby project via democracy. Of having people vote and help and guide me along. It's been really, really helpful. So thank you to everyone in chat who has helped out across the various streams with creating this project. It's been very long going. These pillars in particular, that blimmin' Drakenhof Nightshade, ugh, that hurt. But we got it done. We got it done. And so... actually, I'm going to put it on a box just so as I don't accidentally stick it to my desk. So I'm just going to pick up a box and put the altar on that for now. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. That's on there. What's chat saying? I ordered cheese and pepperoni on my pizza and asked for that joke. Well, you got your there's a big piece of pepperoni. I'll give you, there's a big piece of pepperoni right in the middle. Sorry, I can't do that. I can't do a New Yorker accent or whatever that was supposed to be. So we are done. We are done. Finished. Finito. Project complete. As for what is next, so we will be streaming again on Friday. At least we'll be streaming on Friday, where we'll do our final predictions for the reveal stream on Saturday, and also sort of setting up for the Snarkathon that we're going to do on Saturday afternoon in the server. I'm not going to stream my live reactions because it will be laggy and no sound and all that. So I will do a Snarkathon in our Discord server. I may stream later this week on, say, Wednesday. And we can have a bit of democracy about what to do next. So we could work on the Bloodrack Shrine. We could do some conversion work for the Hag and Slaughter Queen, or something like that. We've got a couple of options there. So we can have a bit of a hobby stream on Wednesday. I'm also going to do a bit of rebranding for the live stream. So change up the sort of screens that I use, the intro screen, the break screen, and sort of things like that. I'm tempted to change those. So we could have a bit of a technical wizardry scene where we look for some art and try and find some suitable stuff. Probably not. I'll probably do that on my own time or with some help from my mods, but we could do that maybe. But I'm not sure if I will stream on Wednesday. I'll see how I feel on the day. But I will let you know by the usual circles, that being Discord, Twitter, and hopefully Facebook as well. And maybe, if I remember, a community post as well. So we've got plenty to look forward to in the coming time. Now, I need to get off the air before we hit 4 hours so that the stream can render properly. Thank you very much, everyone, for turning up and helping out. It's been an absolute pleasure. This has been Tactica, Imperialis, and I will see you all very, very soon. Good night.